Thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Technology AI podcast. How are you today?
I'm great, Jared. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We tend to keep these short and sweet, so let's dive right in. First, tell the
Sure,
audience a little bit about you, and
sure.
then about Lotus AI.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm Didem Un Ates, based in London, and about more than 25 years in disruptive technologies, last 13 in the AI space, primarily with Microsoft. I was part of their first business AI team, and then, incubated the Power Platform, their first AI SaaS solution. And then I found myself in the generative AI kitchen, helping the OpenAI partnership, Copilot stack, helping the largest AI engagements that Microsoft had. And if I fast forward, I basically have my own business doing the same thing, helping any company pretty much, but primarily private equity and financial services firms with their AI journeys and complementing that with responsible AI and talent transformation. It's been fascinating. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah. Where have you seen some of the biggest opportunity when it comes to these like private equity firms that maybe you start talking with them and you're like, okay, they're immediately missing out on a rather big opportunity, and some of these people I'm sure are not, they're obviously all super smart, but
Yeah.
when it comes to implementing new technologies and kind of changing your way, you could be a little stubborn sometimes, right? So, two-parter, what are you initially seeing when you're working with a lot of these organizations that's kind of front and center?
Mhm.
And then, how do you get past the stubborn ones that are like, I don't know.
Great question, great question. First of all, I absolutely love the space. And it's not new to me. I used to work with the space in Accenture and Microsoft and so on. But they usually seem to need and ask for help in three areas. The first one is internally, like especially if it's a medium, small size private equity firm, they didn't maybe even was able to access these tools, so they are very foreign to it. Even though they read a lot and hear a lot about it, they lack that first-hand experience and the network to implement the right tools or select the right tools. So I help with that end to end, and that could be investment teams, investor relations teams, legal teams, you name it, operations, and so on. The second piece is they often ask me help with AI due diligence because it's very different from technology due diligence, right? It's really not about digital. It may be similar, but the standard questions I get is, will AI help this company? Will it disrupt this company? If it helps, what is the value creation plan? How much should I uplift my investment for this? And the third area, and the biggest area, of course, is their portfolio. So portfolio companies need a lot of help in AI, even if they're an AI company themselves, regardless of that. So it could be internal, again, efficiency gains, but also external. How can we grow the company with AI offerings and tools? Um, you asked also about a little bit of sometimes resistance or lack of awareness. I think that's very natural, and especially in private equity, the nature of the business is a little bit exclusive and a little bit maybe competitive, if I may say so. So it's even harder to share data and insights about best practices or whatnot. But because I come in quite independent and having seen countless examples from other industries as well. My clients have been amazing in terms of just their openness. How do we overcome if there is one? So it's more about lack of knowledge of the magic of the tools. In other words, there's still this conception that AI is cheating, or I'm so smart, I don't need Copilot for Excel. Like I'm better than Copilot. And that's, I'm sure that's maybe very well true, but you could still save a lot of time by using, let's say, Copilot and I'm not advertising, it's just an example. So how do we overcome tons and tons? I mean, Jared, I went ahead and got certified for executive coaching because it's about asking the right questions and tons of trainings. Like it could be prompt engineering, and we don't even call it that. We call it how to talk to AI engineering. Like get rid of all the big tech jargon, just simplify and show. Don't tell, but show the impact of these tools. What seems to kind of melt down the ice or remove barriers. And it's been going so well so far. So I'm very grateful.
You know what I've been loving lately is in when you talk about the prompt engineering, right? And like it's amazing. The wrong prompt
Yes.
will not get you anywhere. Like people think
Yeah.
when you go up to someone on the street and you talk AI, like just the just anyone, they think
Yeah.
that AI just solves all problems. And if you do not interact with it
Yeah.
properly, you don't get much out of it, right?
Exactly. And most people, and I probably even me included until recent, most people use it almost as a search tool, like the search type of prompts, which really doesn't do justice to these technologies. So it became part of my portfolio of services, to be honest, to help with that. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's much about understanding not inside the box, but how to command. And I suggest like give it a name, have a conversation with it. Just relax and have a conversation. See what it comes up with, and always check with it, of course. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll tell you one of my favorite things to be doing lately is to leverage it to craft better prompts. Like it's amazing, and then you just have to
Yes.
keep reiterating, right? But like,
Yes.
um, here's my prompt. Take a look at this prompt, make it a lot
Improve.
better, offer suggestions, and then explain why you decided to add those suggestions. And then I keep reiterating. Eventually, you have a perfect prompt that gets you
Absolutely.
exactly what you want. Yeah,
And you could package it as one of your rules, maybe like for certain tasks. Yeah, I completely agree. It's quite
yeah.
interesting what
But
one can do.
it's just something that's not often talked about that you have to do that anyway. I want to shift focus a little bit
Sure.
to let's talk about really end to end AI transformation and value creation. Let's talk about you go into one of these potential companies that you're working with. If you had to break down basically a 90-day plan to get them started,
Hmm.
what could that look like?
Great question. So, and this is the reality for years. It doesn't have to be generative AI. It was
Mhm.
the same with the methodology was the same with traditional AI as well. I always recommend an end-to-end scan. Like if it's internal functions like HR, legal, finance, investment, whatever, just looking at those end-to-end as a journey and or sometimes doubling down on one function like supply chain if it's a portfolio company or investment if it's a private equity company because AI is successful and scalable and sustainable only if it's assessed as a journey, as a workflow. In another, in isolation, like a proof of concept here and something else pilot there, does not mean it. It may be exciting to experiment, but it's not going to scale because it's not part of the normal daily life of a business. So that's what I suggest. And as part of that scan, the natural thing is first for me to listen to my clients. How do they really do their jobs, that function or whatever the journey we are assessing? And then go back, do my homework, and come back with the most impactful use cases, maybe tools, off-the-shelf tools, or maybe agents these days, to say, okay, do you want to buy? Like these are some of the things that are working out there. They may or may not work for you in your company based on your data, talent, whatever, or budget, of course. But let's lay out our options on the table. So we have workshops to lay out those options, and they say, okay, I like this one, that one, maybe 3 to 5 things. And could you give a bit more flavor to that? Could we maybe do business cases? How much will it cost versus, to build versus buy, to partner, etc. These options. I do my homework again, come back in a second workshop, and then we pin it down. Okay, maybe feasibility versus impact versus timeline assessment, and we co-create. I underline co-create a roadmap, prioritize, select, look at the business cases, the ROI analysis, and build that roadmap of what we are really going to do in the next 12 to 15 months. And I say 12 to 15 months because even that is a long time. It's like centuries in AI. So we start and we definitely pivot. I mean, I have not come across a journey where we didn't need to say, oh, maybe let's switch to an off-the-shelf solution because things are moving so fast, or vice versa. Maybe decide to do it in-house. So that's the 90-day plan, the roadmap. And Jared, something that I feel very strongly about and has never kind of fallen off in any of my engagements is two things: complementing all of this wonderful, exciting thing with responsible AI from day zero. Which guardrails? What are the risks? Is there, are we supposed to be compliant about something? How do we manage privacy and so on and so forth? And secondly, talent transformation. Responsible AI is incredibly important, especially in finance. Um, and regardless of the country, right? I mean, there are regulations all over the place. And in some of my clients, if something leaks, they go straight to jail. They don't, I mean, it's that serious. So uh, that's very crucial to our advisory work. And the talent transformation, when we do that scan I just described, the impact, EBIT, top line, bottom line, is somewhere in the range of 20 to 40%, which is very exciting to the boards, investors, CFOs. But I always try to calm them down because that doesn't mean we lay off 30%. It doesn't work. Even if we did, there's not enough talent out there to do the things we want to do. So maybe 80% of the solution is upskilling, reskilling our current workforce. So, literally, just to strengthen that, I went ahead and became a certified algorithm auditor, the responsible AI angle, and an executive coach on the talent transformation angle. Because today you can't even tell a nursery kid what to do, let alone a C-level or, mid-level managers to say, okay, do this AI in your work. They have to embrace it. They have to be excited by it. And exciting, inspiring people is through coaching, honestly, asking the right questions. So it's their baby.
I don't think we talk enough about upskilling and reskilling. We like in the news all the time. It's just AI causing massive layoffs across the whole organization. And I think on one hand, I've heard people only talk about that side, or they would talk about how AI is not going to replace all of it. And I think when you are on both sides of that and you're not in the middle, it's kind of
Mhm.
dangerous because on
Yeah,
one side, you can't get rid of everyone. But I
yeah,
think on the other side, there's people out there that are very foolish to think that we're not going to cut a fair
yeah,
amount of positions, right?
totally.
That we have
Yeah,
to reskill or upskill them to move into. And by the way, like the thing that no one wants to talk about, a lot of those positions we're going to get moved under someone else's plate with efficiencies anyhow if AI was not where it's at today.
spot
Um,
on. Yeah,
so, like, let's talk about that because that's still
sh
there's
sure.
a mental block, like an action block when it comes to let's upskill, reskill versus lay off everyone.
Yeah,
How do you decide which
balance.
path to take?
Another great question, Jared. Thank you for raising this. So I think, well, in everything that I do, I mean, I'm just one person, of course, over one company, but still, I try my best to land this message that upskilling and reskilling. I share a wonderful, very simple, actionable framework from Gartner, actually, of how team by team, country by country, business unit by business unit, talent transformation roadmaps or development roadmaps can be built, and I work with HR and training leaders. But frankly, I think this would be a drop in the ocean, or your effort, my effort. Recently, the UK government have shared their 50 actions, AI recommended actions, and they graciously asked my feedback. In other words, this is what we are adopting, but do you think this is executable? This will we succeed in doing these 50 actions? And I shared my verbal feedback, and I will be writing and meeting them soon in February, actually. But the two suggestions are exactly around your point, Jared, in the sense that the suggestions I really recommend the government and all governments for that matter, not just UK, is twofold. One, if we want to make a step change in AI, talent is obviously key. It's not data, it's really the accelerator or decelerator is talent. So in order for that, maybe have one-day visas or quick visas for AI talent, and you will see the needle move. The second thing, and I think much more important thing for the societal disruption, potential disruption that we may be facing, is I suggest the government to incentivize businesses. In other words, public sector incentivize private sector to upskill their workforce, to give tax incentives if they are truly training their workforce on AI, even in the roles that use it for, let's say, not really part of their jobs, but across the board. Like at least that awareness is actually shouldered by private sector with tax incentives. Then I think there could be a significant change. Otherwise, we're just blindly going towards this pretty disruptive future where there is a small number of us who understand what's happening or at least are able to catch up with what's happening, and the rest of the world is like, what just happened? And I lived this in Microsoft. I mean, there was a March, like we had launched ChatGPT with OpenAI November 22, and then in March 23, we announced Copilot Suite, and literally for a 10-day period, the features kept popping up, like this feature, that feature. And I was in the data AI team, and even I couldn't like keep up with the news. I'm in the kitchen where these things are. And I woke up one day and I said, like, my job is being augmented as we speak. And I had to step back and think, okay, how do I add value now? My current day job, what do I need to do to still be valuable? And that was semi-traumatic. And it's part of the reason why, one of the reasons why I decided to have my business, Jared, because if I felt like if I feel like this, what does just anybody on the street feel like? So I think it needs to come together with joint effort from public and private sector.
Yeah, I'll just
And the
add,
individuals, of course, stepping up, right?
it's honestly pretty crazy to like the speed at which we're moving right now, because like if you went on a 1 or 2 week vacation and you like truly unplugged, you're gonna come back lost. Like
Exactly.
that has not happened in I
So
can't think of
true.
a time, like
Yes.
even when like the when we had the like internet was popping, where we were moving so fast that like you're
Yeah.
on top of this stuff and you would have to spend some time to review what
Yeah.
happened over that 2 week period to
Totally.
make sure you're not missing it. Yeah, it's anyway.
Now,
Um,
it's a bit pathetic, I know, but that's why I don't unplug. But I'm not recommending our audience does the same.
yeah, it's but like
I
it's just
stay
it's
plugged. Yeah.
I mean I think well that's why when people say fully plug, I think my next question is, well, what industry are you in? Because in some cases you're going to set yourself back so far if you fully unplug. Um,
True.
yeah,
True.
let's embrace when you're on a vacation almost fully unplugging, but not enough that you come back lost. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
Um, last question for you as we wrap up here. What are you
Sure.
most looking forward to about Human X Conference?
Oh, the people. I mean, I think there's such an amazing group of speakers. I'm hosting a roundtable and I'm participating in a panel, for example. I mean, and when I look at the speakers, participants, the moderators, the media, it's just phenomenal, phenomenal. And I feel like I'm going to be in a candy store. So I'm requesting this meeting, that meeting, and I do think it will be fantastic. I can't wait, honestly. Can't wait to listen to the sessions, but even more importantly, connect with the leaders and amazing people in this space. So much to be done together.
Absolutely. Awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Look forward to future conversations, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Jared. This was great. Thank you.